Good evening, everybody in internet land, and welcome to another episode of Screen Time Continuum. I am Nick, and I am joined, as always, by Keilyn. How you doing, man?
Very well, very well. How you feeling today?
Oh, not too bad. It's hump day. Can't complain, right? Getting through the
Always a
week.
good thing. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, you guys, for listening in with us tonight. We're going to be talking about season 7 of Game of Thrones. Keilyn has just finished it. We're going to talk all about it. We're probably going to speculate what's going to happen in the final season. We're going to talk about our favorite moments. So thank you for joining us. Stay tuned, buckle up, and get ready for the discussion. Keilyn, how do you want to start this off? Because we're getting closer to the end here, and we only have one more season left. So I don't know. How'd you feel about season 7?
I like season 7, but as always, at some point in the episode, I'm gonna say it, so I'm just gonna get it out of the way because inevitably they had to do something that just makes me say, "Knock it off."
What'd they do this time?
I don't want to get to the very ending of this
episode
of the season
okay,
yet,
okay.
but
Yeah. Okay, I got you.
But overall, I liked it, and if it wasn't for the relation of that situation, I actually think it was a perfect season almost. Aside from, okay, no, I lie. If I had to judge it on a scale of 10 right now, I'd give it an 8. But if I had to put it up against everything else we've seen, then I mean just by itself, if I had to put it up against the rest of the seasons thus far, it's gonna get a 6.
Yeah,
that's how I
can see that. Yeah, if you're going to compare it to other seasons, it's definitely not up there. I don't think. I think my biggest critique about these last 2 seasons is that they could have easily been 10 episodes, and there's a lot kind of basically like everything is rushed and compacted, and everything is happening like in one episode in season 7, like 10 things happened that would have been like across a whole season in the earlier seasons. You know what I mean? So it's like
exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it feels like you're going into warp drive into all of this, where it's like, okay, now we're just like, we're not traveling anymore. We're just hitting all the beats. So that's a little bit jarring because, like even me and my wife were just finishing it, and she was asking about some character, and she's like, hey, how did they get over there?
Right.
Weren't they just over at that one place? And I was like, yeah,
you're talking about Brienne and Pod.
Yes. Yeah.
I know exactly. Totally. I was thinking about it. I know exactly what you're talking about. Because I said the same thing. I said, oh, Brienne and Pod they're captive. Oh no, they're not captives.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of teleportation in this season for sure. Yeah. So I mean, aside from that, like there's a lot of pretty high moments. I think it suffers a little bit from writing issues, but we can get into that when we start to pick this apart. But where did you want to start off, man?
Whew. All right, let's see. If we had to start anywhere in particular, I'm going to go to the notes. So let's start. Oh, yeah, that's just amazing for me right there. So let's start at the Tarlys turning on the Highgarden house, which is the Tyrells, and how that all just kind of, in my opinion, that is the reason that anything was really able to happen as far as the overthrow of Highgarden and all of the things that came after that in this particular season.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Daenerys certainly takes a lot of L's in this season.
Right. Oh, well, actually, what you saying that actually, I'm sorry. No, let's start with that. Let's start with everyone that we now know is on Team Daenerys, because talking about the Tarlys going against Olenna would make no sense if we don't know what side she's on yet, right?
Right. For sure. Yeah.
So let's start with that.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So I think it was really cool when I realized how fast Daenerys got her Westeros clan together, so to speak, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let's be honest, she has the army already. She doesn't need anyone else's army. Adding the Tyrell army would have just been amazing. Adding the Dornish army was more about understanding how to fight in different scenarios, right?
Mhm.
Excuse me. Because the Dornish fighters, they are generally just that, listed as the best fighters in the world. So
Right.
I feel like that's really all the Dornish brung to the table. House Tyrell brung the gold, not so much the army.
Mhm.
And when we open this season, that's what we find out. Is we find out that the Sands or the Dornish are now in line with Daenerys for sure. Olenna, they're all there having their round table, or what would they call that? The High Council meeting
Mhm.
or Small
Yeah,
Council
a
meeting?
strategy, sort of a strategy meeting.
Right, yeah, War Council. Let's just call it that. They were having a War
Mm.
Council, and that is really where we start. And right away, she's questioning everyone. She's questioning Varys. I thought that was very intelligent of her to let Varys know, hey, I'm aware of you. You're
Mhm.
not just lurking about, going from person to person. Like, I'm very, and she does that. Daenerys does that very often through this season. Like, lets people know, oh, I'm aware of you, which to me reminded me of her age. It just
Mm.
reminded me. It was like, oh, you gossipy in front of the person you gossiping about. Okay, got you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so from there, from understanding that Daenerys now has Tyrion, who is House Lannister, um, Olenna at the time, which is House Tyrell, the Dornish. Of course, she already has the Dothraki and the Unsullied. That's and
Mhm.
her three dragons. That's hers already.
Yeah.
Um, so once we start there, then I think we can get on, understanding that who is sided with whom. And now I think we can get on to the Tarlys stepping out against the Tyrells.
Mhm.
Now, how did you feel about that when it first opened and you saw everyone that was with Daenerys?
Well, I mean, let's see. It's cool to see the characters interacting with each other.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed that sort of dynamic of all of them banding together to sort of go against Cersei and King's Landing. I don't know how much I enjoyed. You know, this is hard for me because there's only one more season left, and so I'm trying to tiptoe around the things that
Right
happen
on the
in.
cusp of it, huh?
Yeah, but I can say that I wasn't necessarily a fan of Tyrion or Daenerys and their
Mm,
decisions this season. I think that
I
Tyrion,
understand.
since he's met Daenerys, has been a failure, and Daenerys is doesn't seem to be making the wisest choices right now. That's
I
kind of
totally
how
agree.
I feel about both of them right now. I mean, Tyrion is screwing up left and right. I can't believe that he's not dead. To be honest, like he lost her, like half of her Unsullied army. He lost
Right,
her like so much, so
right.
much. So
Didn't lose her a dragon though.
well, yeah, yeah. That was John and her fault. So
Yeah, but I will say now, I believe that it's part of prophecy. But we'll get on
mm,
that. No, yeah, agreed. There was a lot of decisions that were made by overall the storyline, the writing. This is why, like I said, if we're comparing it to everything else, it has to be a 6
mm,
because it was like, oh, I have a tough decision. Let me make the worst possible decision
yeah,
of those bad decisions that I have to make. And it's like, why is everyone suicidal?
yeah,
Everyone in
yeah.
this entire season, it was like a kamikaze. Everyone was ready to take themselves out in order for everyone else to go with them.
Yeah, and that's kind of where you get the pacing issues, right? So what
Mm-hmm.
happened in order for people to sort of understand what happens in the last couple seasons, the creators were getting sick of the show. And they had gotten an offer from Disney to go do a Star Wars trilogy. And instead of making a 10 season run like HBO wanted, they actually even offered the creators more money to go 10 seasons, and they said
Wow.
no. So what you see a lot of is that they have to cram in all of the big stuff into 14 episodes instead of 30.
Yeah.
Like, so they're cutting it down in half basically, and that's where you kind of lose a lot of the sort of character building, And that's why it feels like sometimes the decisions aren't making any sense anymore, because it's like, well, then how did you get to that spot? You know, like, how did Tyrion become so awful? I feel like in the books, that would be a longer progression, but in the show, it's like he gets named Hand of the Queen after he makes a huge mistake, and then every other decision is a mistake.
It's like he got sober and now he can't think.
Yeah, exactly. Like they took all of his cleverness away from him. He's no longer clever at all, and it's just like he's making every boneheaded decision there is.
And so what I took from that, because I caught that as well, and what I took from that, and maybe this was just me being graceful or great, just being gracious to the writers. I was thinking like, okay, well, was he clever, or was he just a drunken fool?
Yeah. You know what I also kind of thought too, and while I was watching this, and I think that this could be a possibility for the books. It seems as though Tyrion's true trajectory was to sabotage Daenerys.
It almost seems that way at this point, yeah.
Yeah, and they kind of bring that up in this season too, where Daenerys is like, upset because he keeps seemingly protecting his family. Like, sent him to Casterly Rock and they weren't there, and Daenerys gets suspicious. So I'm wondering, like, if in the books, perhaps Tyrion is supposed to betray Daenerys at one point, because then that would make sense as to why all of his decisions were awful ones.
Right. I was thinking that is a high probability. But I think it is. So I am under the impression at this point that Tyrion's motive is to be the most powerful. And I got that from, he seems jealous. He's jealous of Cersei. He's jealous of Jaime. He's jealous of Daenerys. He's jealous of John.
Yeah.
And it's just something that's become a lot more obvious. I think he's jealous of different things, but it definitely starts to seem as if he's jealous. And to me, an example of not just his jealousy, but something being off about him in this season was when he and John, I don't want to use the word reunited, but when they met back up, he immediately went to asking or talking about Sansa, not necessarily asking about Sansa, but talking about Sansa. And it was like, you're trying to get it raw, like you're trying to find a common ground, but in a way that isn't going to be pleasant if he decides to make it unpleasant. But because he's unarmed right now, you could poke the bear.
Yeah, I don't know if I was getting that from him. I think he's actually genuinely, and see, this is the problem with the writing too. So the writing is very disjointed, and characters are starting to act outside of their normality. Because I kind of took it as Tyrion genuinely concerned about Sansa, because he did care about Sansa, and he didn't, and John even said the same thing, that, like Tyrion was the only man that was actually kind to Sansa. So, I mean,
this is true, but the kind, thoughtful Tyrion that we knew in the past seasons did not rear his head in this season at all.
Yeah, not as much. It did a little bit when you went to Cersei. He did.
But
a little bit.
We'll get to there. I would love to discuss their little moment, because that was crazy, but nice, but crazy. Yeah. If I'm being honest, before we even get to it, that was probably one of the better scenes of the entire season.
I agree, because that felt like the sort of like true Game of Thrones scene. You know what I mean? Where it's just two characters and the tension that's between them, kind of like, in motion. Yeah.
So
totally.
It's where are we with because this is what I need to figure out, right? Because I don't want to get too much into talking about what I expect to happen next, but what I need to figure out is, what is the timeline of this season?
Oh my gosh, right?
Right.
Who knows? I mean, and it's funny too, because like this is like one of the times where I do believe that like Sansa says John's on Dragonstone for weeks. So
no. She hadn't spoken to him in weeks or heard from him in weeks, and that was by the time he was north of the wall. That was way after Dragonstone.
Right. Yeah. So who knows? I mean, it could have been months, and it should have been months, because it takes a long time for people, to cross the Westeros. So, I mean, like it would have to have been I'd say at least 6 months to a year, you know,
Okay.
at least. I mean, like, that's the only thing that kind of makes sense is that it would have to have been like about 6 months to a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd even say a little longer than that. This is why I was like, this is why I thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking about not just the Night King, everything that's coming in, the changes with Cersei, Tyrion's plot, how we were just discussing, even with that, all of these things take time. Like,
Yeah,
that's the part. This season was a little confusing, just based on the fact that if you try to put it together outside of watching it, it almost doesn't make sense.
oh yeah, and without all of the information prior to,
Correct.
Yeah, you wouldn't.
Correct.
Yeah, you wouldn't know what the heck is going on. You'd be like, why is there a zombie polar bear? You know, like,
Right.
yeah,
Or a
there's
flock
like,
of ravens and
right, exactly, yeah.
so overall, okay, so the synopsis of this entire season is everybody needs to get on the same page so we could fight the War of the Dead. Yeah. And so when the entire not Lannister, but when Daenerys, I guess we can call it the Targaryen faction, right? When the entire Targaryen faction is together, Daenerys is convinced to call forth Jon Snow, right?
Yes.
As she calls forth Jon Snow, who is that? Yara, Theon, and the Sands, they're taking a journey. I forgot where they were headed.
They were headed to Dorne to get the Dornish army.
Oh, okay. They were going to get the Dornish army. I actually forgot about that.
Yeah.
So they were headed over there, and Euron intercedes, and that turns into a whole thing. And this is after he's trying to pledge his fealty to Cersei.
So you mean to tell me to hold on, by the way, just one moment, because Euron is at one point he's in Casterly Rock, which is in the northeast quadrant or northwest quadrants of Westeros, and then he's also in Dorne, which is the most southern part of Westeros.
He has the fastest ships in all of the 14 oceans. There's 14.
Apparently, he can get there in between episodes because he was literally sailing the entirety of the continent within an episode. Yeah.
I'll question the timeline already.
Yeah, I know.
But so while that's happening, so before Jon Snow gets before the message gets to Jon Snow, they're kidnapped and or murdered, whoever doesn't make it.
Oh, Euron. Yeah, Euron takes the sand snake, kills 2 of the sand snakes, and then takes Ilaria and her other daughter captive, and takes Yara. Yeah, right. Yara is captive as well, and Theon reverts back into his weenie self.
Theon,
yeah. Which to me it was kind of like, okay, well, I kind of get it, because he was just going to slit Yara's throat as soon as he went for him, like,
yeah, easily,
like Euron wasn't going to keep Yara around, and now he's just kind of keeping her around as a token, toy, a token, basically,
which in itself is scary.
Oh yeah, he's crazy. He's a psychopath. I do kind of like his ship though, the Silence. Like that he took the tongues of all of his shipmates so that they could never talk about, what they do on the high seas.
I never knew that.
Oh yeah. All of his crewmates have no tongues.
Shoot.
Yeah. He didn't want any of them talking.
Yikes.
Yeah. And he makes some he really kills some of those 2 sand snakes, man.
Yeah. He is, He is for it. He is all for it. So, actually, I did remember that story. The tongue story. I do remember.
Oh yeah, that now. Yeah. He does mention it. Yeah.
But so what I'm trying to figure out is, so then John gets there after or before or during?
Kind of like right after, because they get the message about it while John and Daenerys meet for the first time.
Okay, so nope, I didn't miss that either, because Varys reported that message.
Yes. Yeah, while they're in the throne room together, that's when Varys brings.
I had a huge question as to so would that have changed her mind, and that just wiped a whole good chunk of what.
Well, how awesome!
Questioning it.
how awesome was the meeting between Daenerys and John for the first time, where like Missandei's like giving off all the titles, and
Oh
then
yeah,
Davos is like, "This is Jon Snow. He's king in the north,"
King of the
and that's
North.
it.
Yeah, but I like how you said it. This is Jon Snow. He King of the North.
He's king in the north. There you go. What do you need to know?
You know what I mean? Ask all
Yeah,
you could. He's breaker of chains too.
yeah,
You
pretty
know.
much. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
Um,
so I just thought it was very just to start there though. After the whole big meeting, then them ask she being told that Jon Snow was her best option to go with.
and that was
Um,
Melisandre that told her.
and that was Melisandre that told her. But then before he gets there, what I think is interesting is Jon's ability, not just his ability to lead, but his ability to get people to see something that they didn't see before, right? Like the Wildlings, they didn't see it. Now they're following Jon. They clearly see it now. The Lords of the North, they didn't see it. Now they're following Jon. They clearly see it now. At the end of the day, not being funny, Daenerys, she didn't see it, but now she's following Jon.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah. I mean,
I
you
need
know,
them to
it's
find out they're related soon, but you know,
I know, right? Yeah, a little bit awkward, a little bit awkward. But yeah, I mean, like this whole thing is like very much like, you know, John's trying to be a good ruler, and I appreciate the fact that he didn't just get on his knee immediately to, you know, like to bend to Daenerys, because I'm like, you know, like, why should he? You know, and he says it perfectly. He's like, I don't know you. You know, like, and I got a whole bunch of people back, you know, in my land that are, you know, relying on me to protect them. So sorry. Like,
right? And
which is a little bit refreshing, because everybody is always, you know, kissing Daenerys's butt. So
because she's
nice
so
to see.
beautiful with her
Yeah.
silver hair.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
beautiful.
I know, dude. It gets a little bit tiresome after a while. I'm like, all right, well, at least somebody said no to her. Jeez.
I mean, look, every time they say she's beautiful, I immediately think, so she is going to be like her dad.
All right. Right. Yeah. So they have their meeting, and John's kind of stuck on Dragonstone, right?
Oh yeah. So, well, let's not call it stuck. He's a prisoner.
Yeah, he's a prisoner.
I'm with John. He's a prisoner.
Enough. Yeah, they took the ships and their weapons, and you know, and not allowed to leave. So, what else can you call that?
Call me a diplomat all you want to. Can I leave this building?
Right.
No?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So so he's stuck there, but it gives them a chance through a couple of different things. After them being attacked, and then they take a dragon out there to show their might on the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Then she comes back. They have a little bit of tea and crumpets. They have a bit of a discussion, and they're still not really seeing eye to eye.
Yeah, and the dragon likes John.
That was getting there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But not only does the dragon like John, here's something I thought very interesting.
Mm.
The dragon smelled John first.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I think Daenerys was under the impression that she was in control, and it's like, no, he still has a mind of his own.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, and she was kind of like looking at, just trying to see what the heck he was doing with John, you know, like, because and the neck was bent, so like she couldn't kind of see around his head. Yeah,
big boulder head.
Right.
So I think all of that, and then of course at the end of it all, they agree that she'll let him at least mine the dragon stone from the caves.
Yes.
And she doesn't believe him like nobody else believes him about the dead. He finds the hieroglyphs and shows her that, and she's still not like. I thought it was so cold of her for him to show her, and she's just like, "Oh, you're so you're still a really handsome man."
Bend the knee.
What? Right? Basically, that's how I heard it. No, it was like, okay, she still just wants to have him around, but she's not paying any attention to what he's talking about.
No, and she's more focused on him, you know, swearing fealty to her.
Fealty.
Yeah.
And you know, Dario Naharis ain't gonna be feeling that if he find out, right?
Oh yeah. Well, it's a good thing he's stuck in Marine.
She's cold for that. I don't care what nobody say.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, for real. But yeah, no, I mean, like, Yeah. So, John is basically the prisoner for a little bit, but then he has to he gets a raven from Bran, right? And Bran sends a raven to John saying that he saw the Night King across the wall and they're coming, they're on the way. And then somebody gets a great idea to grab a White Walker in order to prove to Cersei that they exist so that they could create this truce.
I believe that was John.
I think it was John. I think that was the John's bonehead move right there too. Yeah.
A lot of bad decisions through this entire season. Like
a little bit too many bad decisions, to be honest, from people that really didn't make a whole lot of bad decisions before. I mean, John did though. I mean, but Tyrion didn't. He was making all the right decisions before he met Daenerys. So
that's true. Now, let's take the making bad decisions thread and let's go left to another character, Samwell Tarly, who made another bad decision, but it worked out. I thought it was really cool how Sam is consistently and continuously letting the Archmeister know, hey, I'm more knowledgeable than you guys are leading it on to be, as well as I can be a lot more help if I had access to those things that help.
I could have done without the poop soup montage.
Yeah,
that was pretty gross.
I was eating dinner when that happened, man.
I know, that's so disgusting.
Because I was like, he's eating.
Yeah, or he has to be cleaning out the bedpans, and it's just this montage of him cleaning out bedpans and eating and ladling out soup, and the soup and the bedpans are the same color and same consistency. So.
Sam Tarly, Game of Thrones. Feel for you, my friend.
Yeah. Well, and then he runs into somebody at the Citadel, right?
Well, yeah. So he finds out that one of the captives or one of the prisoners, one of the patients, however you want to call it, is Ser Jorah Mormont, and he hears the name Mormont, and he's like, Mormont. I'm dead to them, says Jorah, right? Mm-hmm. But of course, Sam's not feeling that. He's like, nah, your dad did right by me. I'm gonna do right by you. Yeah. He got the books he needed after being declined from the Archmeister of the Citadel to perform an experiment, so to speak, to save Jorah's life. Yeah. He's told no, and he does it anyway. Yeah. And I thought that was dope because it was immediately like, all right, we, the audience, we know that Sam is worthy. We know that Sam is capable, and we can rely on Sam for the things that come down to information. Like, how do we learn? We learn through Sam.
Yeah. I mean, he's proven himself to be pretty capable. And he even basically, gets too frustrated to stick around, and but fair play to him. Like, he was just being a steward for all of those old dudes that didn't want him to be a part of the conversation until, like 20 years after he's been emptying chamber pots or whatever. Right. It's like, why would you want to do that?
And I don't understand how that helps. Now for me, I understand his punishment was copying the scrolls. I think that was not as much of a quote unquote punishment, simply because in order to copy that stuff down, you still have to ingest the information.
Yeah, absolutely. It was kind of like a punishment and a reward-ish. I mean, I guess but by the end of it, Sam's like, I'm tired of, reading this guy's diary, basically. Yeah. Because that's what it was. It was a diary of a maester.
Right. No, exactly. Now, notice that diary of that maester, though, still has some really powerful and useful information in it.
Yeah, well, I don't know if that was known to the Archmaester, but yes, it did conveniently have
but that's
useful information.
Well, and that's kind of what I was thinking is with those scrolls already being mildewed, people were simply ignoring them. That doesn't mean they don't have good information. That means they don't know what information to look for in them.
Yeah, I mean, but the scrolls literally were just the diary of a specific maester who just so happened to proceed over the Rhaegar Lyanna marriage.
I get that word. I get that. But what if we also find out that he also is the one who wrote the cure for grayscale? If he's also the Archmaester who...
I mean, if that were the case, then... if that were the case, then it would have made a lot more sense, I think. They could have done that. They could have had, his diary be like a, detailed medical diary. That would have helped for sure. Yeah. I think that would have explained it a little bit better too, because then Sam would have kind of like this secret weapon in his back pocket, which is like this Archmaester's diary of all of his experiments and all that stuff. You know, that would be kind of cool.
Right. Without even really knowing he has it. I think that's the kind of what I'm getting at is I think by doing that, he knows more things than he thought. For instance, knowing about the secret marriage between Rhaegar and I forget her name.
Oh, Lyanna Stark.
Lyanna Stark, thank you. I wanted to say Lysa Stark. I'm like, no, that's not her name.
Lysa Arryn. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was just a good thing for him.
And that was a good thing for him to know, because apparently Bran did not see that. So
so since we how did you not know that, Bran? That's a part of the past. That's not a part of the future.
Oh man, Bran frustrates the hell out of me, man. Honestly,
just throw away the whole character, guys. Throw him away.
Throw him away. Exactly.
Throw him away. Start over something. But the Bran character is overly
dead.
Done.
It's not the same. It's not the same Bran anymore, which is worse somehow, because even the original Bran was boring, but now he's like more boring.
How about
I don't know how they did that?
The Three-Eyed Raven didn't seem as boring as Bran seems now.
That's what I was telling. I was literally telling my wife the other day when we were watching this. I was like, because she was like, well, maybe it's because, like, you know, he is the old man now. I was like, no, the old man had more personality than this. He had way more personality than this. So who knows why he?
I think it's him being I think it's him being a kid, or as he got older, the actor, he just isn't as good. Never mind. What is he in? How about that? Let's find out where he is.
Well, yeah, definitely not anything anymore. So it is possible that perhaps the actor was just not able to sort of convey the nuance of that character, which is possible. But they also didn't help him be anywhere human at all.
Right. I mean, because I listened to his lines. I agree with you 1000%. But I listened to the lines, and it's like he was definitely supposed to come off more as a Mr. Brooks or a Truman Capote type of a character,
like Dr. Manhattan.
Kind of
in that detached sort of sense,
right? Just kind of like in a sinister, like, oh my God, you can murder us all if you wanted to, but you won't, kind of a way.
Right. Yeah.
Like question mark after that, you won't, you know. And that's really how Brandon strikes me now. It's like if his ability was anything physical and not visions, I'd be afraid he's gonna murder he's gonna snap everybody out of existence like Thanos or something.
Oh yeah, well, he was creepy this entire season. I mean, like, okay, so one of the biggest ones I have, the biggest problems I have with Bran is the scene with him and Sansa in the Godswood, where he literally talks to Sansa about how beautiful she looked the night that Ramsay did that to her.
Yeah, that was terrible.
Like,
I was so like, where
did that come from?
You look beautiful in your white wedding dress, and this was me.
Honestly, yeah.
The white one was Ramp.
Yeah.
Whoa. And I was stuck. I was just like, whoa.
Like what a sinister thing to say. And like at that point, when I first saw that, I was like, dude, are they gonna make Bran like a villain or something? Like that's not something you say as like, even if you're an emotionless, you know, like robot, you would never like think of that to say.
He so why in the heck was he Glass type?
Yeah, like what is he saying? Oh man, that just bugged the crap out of me, because I'm like, okay, just get rid of this guy. We don't need him. Like,
and I'm not gonna lie, creepy. I glossed over it, and then I did think, I was like, what did he mean? And then it clicked, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, it just felt so weird. That was such an uncomfortable moment for him to do that, and then like Sansa walks away, and they're not, like it just felt way out of place. I did not understand that at all.
Right.
I didn't. Yeah.
So,
but you know,
yeah. I mean, if we're being honest, like we say, Brandon's character, and if I'm honest, we're only really going to bring him up when it comes to the other characters, because there's not much to say about Bran other than he's not Bran anymore.
Yeah, not really. Not anymore.
Not anymore. You died in that cave. Like, you don't let Mira leave. And
bro,
I remember what it feels like. Yeah, I remember what it feels like to be Bran Stark, but not really. bruh.
Yeah.
Tap into
Yeah.
that little bit, then for this 5 seconds for this girl. Like, really?
Yeah, for her brother who died for you, for Hodor who died for you, for Summer who died for you, for the three-eyed raven who died for you, for the children of the forest who died for you. No, doesn't care.
For me, who almost died for you.
Yeah, right. For me, who almost died of boredom watching you. Yeah.
Oh, definitely a boredom. So yeah, I don't have any remorse for the Brandon character. I don't care about all the other stuff. But he does have a very pivotal role in the Starks, in the way that things went for the Starks in this particular season. And I think that part is gonna be very useful, not just to that moment, but just for the next however much longer we get of this series. And where it
seven
goes.
more episodes.
Right,
7 more
right.
episodes.
Over the next 7 episodes, he might have at least one more astonishing moment like he did in this particular season.
Don't hold your breath.
I won't. It's like Dickon coming back.
Oh yeah, well, Dick and Rickon came back.
Rickon, Dickon.
Yeah.
Huh.
What? Oh, how'd you like that loot train battle?
Oh yeah, that was nuts, insane.
Yeah, how crazy was that, man? Dude, what a crazy fucking. I mean, like, what a crazy. That was a really awesome piece of cinematography for sure. Especially since you're seeing Daenerys's like forces, like, for the first time.
Right. And that's exactly what I was going to say, or what I meant when I was like, or where I was headed with the discussion when I say it was shot well, it looked very well, because you were able to incorporate everything. You had the fire-breathing dragons. You had the coordination of the dragons not hitting their own allies.
Right.
I thought that was very cool. The coordination of the ground forces together with the dragon, like knowing, all right, dragon's not coming near me. I can do what I need to do over here. I thought that was all very cool. I don't like how it ended.
With Jaime falling into the water.
Yeah, Jaime and Bronn. Like, how did you guys end up on the other side of the river?
Oh yeah. And how did you swim in a full suit of armor?
That part with one hand. Oh, and your golden hand is still connected too.
Right. Yeah. A lot of people had an issue with that when that first came out, because everybody really thought that Jaime was dead, because the last scene of that episode is him sinking to the bottom of the river.
I think Jaime was supposed to be dead and probably was going to be resurrected. Probably in the book he is.
Maybe, yeah, something might be a little bit different with that, but it also was probably just a little bit of shock factor, to give the audience a cliffhanger. Even nobody fell for it really. They were just like, "Oh, why'd you do that?" And why would Jaime charge Daenerys and her dragon?
And a dragon, like,
it's so crazy.
Death sentence, bro.
Yeah.
And while Tyrion's just standing there, like, "Don't do it, you idiot! You idiot! Yeah. That's just stupid.
Yeah, totally stupid. But Bronn got a clean one on Drogon. With the scorpion.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was very nice. Very nice. That was very nice, only because I actually didn't think he was going to hit him at all. I thought it was just going to be like one of those things like, oh, okay, well, now they know it exists.
Right. Yeah.
So for it to connect, them to be able to destroy it right after, and Drogon to basically be right back in battle, fly home and all, it's like, oh.
Yeah, it didn't seem like there was much consequence to those things, yeah.
Right, it's like, oh, you guys are underestimating these dragons.
Oh, yeah. Well, and Jaime, you could see how terrified Jaime was the whole time when he finally saw the Dothraki and the dragons together. And he's like, and he goes back to Cersei and he's like, we can't beat her. Like, that's it. It's a wrap, like.
But I like her response to that. It's like, I'm going to die fighting. I'm not going to die kneeling.
Yeah, exactly. She's not going to die begging for mercy. She's going to die fighting. Yeah.
And I support. Respect. I can't get mad at her for that.
For sure. I mean, Cersei is like a is like a one woman island right now, and she's just fighting the entire world.
I expected her to have Jamie killed right then and there at that moment.
I think she can't let go of Jamie just because that's the only person she's got now. So it's like,
Boo. I disagree. I don't think she can kill her own family members.
yeah, maybe that's fair because she couldn't kill Tyrion. So yeah,
When she couldn't
maybe
kill Tyrion, I was like, oh, she does have a weakness. It's
yeah,
not
I
just her
think so.
children.
Yeah, I think that, and honestly, for as much as Cersei says she hates Tyrion, I really don't think that she does all that much.
Nah, she loves
I
him.
think, yeah, I think that there's still love there, and it's just like that's one of the reasons that they kind of have the relationship that they do. You know, I mean, the Mountain could have chopped him in half real quick.
Oh, easily
And
in half.
yeah,
You mean like this way?
yeah. But yeah, I mean, so what else is going on? Arya comes back to Winterfell.
Oh wow,
Arya's back.
Wait. So we start with Arya killing every Frey. That's actually where the entire season really starts, is Arya killing every Frey.
Yeah,
I thought that was amazing.
Oh yeah, she really just basically ends the entire Frey house all at once, which is a pretty incredible feat. Yeah,
and I also enjoy how the whole thread is played out, that Arya's changed so much. She's this sinister assassin that nobody can trust, only to find out that that's not true when her and her brothers and sisters are on the same page, and just weeding out the bad seeds or the bad weeds.
Yeah, I felt like we could have been let in on that as the audience. Like I know that they wanted to, like I know that they wanted to make it like this big twist, where they say Lord Baelish, and then but it's like I could tell that there was something weird going on, and the fact that they were having like arguments in private just so that Baelish may be hearing, like that was a little bit weird to me too. Like so, like when Sansa sees the fate, like so they carried on this charade for like weeks on end to set Peter Baelish up to like try to make him split them apart. Like,
well, I think they had to buy time, because I think the reason we didn't see Bran for like 3 episodes is the sentiment is he was going through the history logs, putting together the case.
Maybe that would have been nice to know too.
That would have been that actually would have been very nice to know. That would have made it all make sense.
Totally. I would have liked that a lot better for sure. But at this point, like with the whole Arya Sansa thing, it was just like so weird. They were like they were performing, fighting each other for the possibility that Peter Baelish might hear about it.
Right.
Which I was like, okay, I mean, I guess that makes sense, but y'all didn't tell us that was the plan. It just looks like, so like basically the end result is like, it looks like they're just having this really petty fight, and then psych, we were actually tricking Littlefinger,
Well, and that's the thing. It's like, it's really supposed to just seem like this petty sisterly squabble. And it's like, you guys didn't squabble when you were little kids.
Yeah, I mean, like they kind of did, but like not in this manner. Like the fact that like Arya was like threatening to kill Sansa.
Right. All I need is your face.
Yeah, and like, okay, so who was that for? Was Baelish listening to that conversation? Why did they need to have that conversation if they're both on each other's side?
Actually, so here's the thing. I think some of their arguments were real.
Okay.
But they needed some of it to come off as like, some of it was fake. So it was embellished. I wouldn't say that the information was real, but it was embellished, the actions, right?
Right.
Because I think what we just weren't able to see was they spent so much more time together at the brothers and sisters that by the time Brienne has seen them all walking through the courtyard, they had already caught up on so many different things, even though it seemed as if they didn't. Because what we don't get is we don't get what's going on in the transport in between these long walks.
Well, yeah, and that's an issue, because you can't tell when characters are conspiring or working with each other.
Exactly.
Because there's no more communication.
I mean, let's think about real brief. Gendry comes back, but then Gendry So Gendry comes back and he has enough endurance to run over 2 mountain ranges.
Oh my God, dude. That whole okay, so that
Just
whole
saying.
going north of the wall thing was completely pointless and had no real meaning to it. Because had they wanted to get a White Walker, they could have flown over there on dragons. And
That's how I thought about it. Well,
and
we saw how that turned out, actually.
yeah, but that was because John wasn't being smart and he kept fighting while Drogon was standing
That's
there.
true
Like,
as
you
well.
know, and
Yeah.
Viserion was they were so like had John just jumped on Drogon and they flew off, the White Walker or the Night King wouldn't have killed them. And
Yo,
then
he
further,
he had an arm like Kurt Warner.
oh my God, he has got like yeah, that's like a super Olympian
Cannon.
arm right there. That javelin throw.
You see, not an open
Yeah,
receiver.
yeah,
Okay.
he even kind of milked it a little bit, like when he took out the second one, like real slow, and he's like, "All right, test the winds," and throw it.
You know, I thought that was amazing.
But then what
Um,
pissed me off though too is that like so after Viserion is dead and Drogon's about to fly off, then they miss the second spear missed. Why didn't Daenerys just turn around real quick and then shoot fire at the Night King with a dragon?
I think she was in as much
That'd
shock
have been
of the
game
fact,
over.
right in the series.
That would have
I
been
think
it.
she was in too much shock. She was in too much
Yeah,
shock to
I
find
get
out
that.
what happened there.
Well, then
And
Drogon should have done it to avenge his brother.
I would think so, but
Right.
we'll touch on the end of that later.
So crazy.
Angry.
Yeah.
But I saw that. I'm not gonna lie. I saw that coming. I think all of those things, including things that transpired after, are part of the prophecy. And like Melisandre said, upon her departure, you know, she has to return to Westeros to die. I think there are so many things that are just a part of the destiny, and we're so close to the fruition of the prophecy that no one is really in control, or no one is really aware that they're doing these things. They're just doing them. It's just happening at this point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you know, and so like again that whole ranging party north of the wall. If I don't understand, because like now we know that the Night King needed a dragon.
Yep.
How did he know that there was going to be a dragon showing up?
Prophecy.
Yeah. So
the only answer I got.
But the Night King knows the prophecy, but nobody else does, apparently.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Prophecy.
I mean, that would be interesting if the Night King knew about certain prophecies. I could buy that for sure.
Well, because the Night King has lived these prophecies already.
Yeah, sure. I could totally get that, but you can't just let me assume that and then, you know, like not explain what's going on here. Why did the Night King know that there was going to be a dragon there? Like, you mean to tell me that the only reason that the Night King can cross the wall and now that the walkers are a threat is because a dragon showed up?
No, it's because of prophecy. No, play. Absolutely. That's actually, that's exactly why. But I mean, even if we're talking about other things that are prophetic, right? Think of Olenna or Elena Sands. Like, these are people who they knew their history beforehand. They both knew they weren't coming into the situation they were coming into for anything other than revenge. So somebody had to die.
I guess maybe the better term then is fate. I think a lot of the characters knew their fate at this point.
Yeah,
and especially somebody like Olenna, which, you know, that was a great scene as well. Know, basically her bossing the shit out of Jaime before she dies.
Well, right. I thought it was really cool of her to like, oh, will it hurt the poor? Like, oh, Jaime. Okay, first Jaime and the Randall Tarly, they take Highgarden over simply because, oh, well, you know, she's old. They're losing.
Yeah.
We're just going to take that now. And the Tarleys used to fight. He's the general of the Tyrell army. So there you go. The whole Tyrell army is attacking the Tyrells.
Yeah.
And Jaime goes up there. They have a brief talk, and he tells her, you know, my sister wanted to do all these terrible things, and I talked her into doing it the easy way and slips her some poison, right?
Yeah.
I just thought it was icy that she drinks the pussy. Oh, is it gonna hurt? No. Oh, good.
That's good. And drinks it
Ah,
all. Yeah.
yeah. Too bad your son didn't get that luxury. Excuse me. What? What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of the poison, but I've never seen it work myself. And you did what? What? Excuse me. I expected
Yeah.
him to take his sword out
And just slice her
and
down. Yeah.
slice her head off.
Yeah, for
No,
sure.
he stomped out like a kid whose Tonka truck didn't lift.
Oh, he lost that one for sure.
For
He was
sure.
like, "Tell Cersei
Oh
I
yeah,
want
tell
her to know
Cersei.
it was me."
Right.
Yeah, the Queen of Thorns, her last act. That was
Right.
pretty good.
And that's another common thread I noticed with Jamie is it seems like Jamie just makes the decisions to preserve everybody who has his worst interest in mind.
Well, yeah, and he puts himself in bad positions to protect Cersei. Like that's
If
kind
you
of
call
where
it
it's
if you
at
call
too.
that protection.
Well, and like they had that conversation, Olenna and him, like Olenna was like, she's going to be the death of you. You know what I mean? Where it's like, and you kind of start to see this more in this season too, is that like Jamie's starting to question Cersei's motives a little bit
Mhm.
and kind of not really feel like Cersei has the best intentions.
Right.
So, and you literally see that manifest when he leaves at the end of this season. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I wasn't sure either at the end of all of that with Jamie. If I was thinking to myself, I was like, did he just desert his post? Yeah.
Yeah, he was leaving King's Landing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And
it was
so
really because Cersei decided to back out of the truce without letting anybody know. And Jamie is actually concerned about the White Walkers.
right, for sure.
Yeah.
Really quick on Jeremy, on Jamie and Cersei. Think that's Jamie's baby? Oh wait, you know if it's Jamie's baby already, don't you? Or that never gets handled. We don't know. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave that. Yeah,
So as of
mysterious.
season
I don't
7,
want
whose baby you
Right.
think that is?
As a
Who
se-
is the
as
father of the baby?
Right. As of season 7, I mean, the only person it could be is Jamie, right?
Nope.
Because she hasn't slept with Euron yet, has she? Or
Who
did she?
hasn't she slept with? It's Cersei. Who's gonna stop her?
No, Cersei doesn't sleep with anybody.
I don't believe you. I think she sleeps with anything and anyone when she wants, when she feels. She's Cersei Lannister. If she tells you to drop trowel, you're dropping trowel, or the mountain is dropping your head.
I don't know, man. I think the only person she had a lover as was Loras, and that was her cousin. So I
Right?
think she's
Yeah,
got a thing
has
for
to be a
family.
Lannister. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
has
So
to
I don't
be
know. Yeah.
reddish, blonde, blackish hair, something like that.
Right. Yeah. Totally.
Okay, maybe
Yeah.
it is
So
Jamie's.
I mean, like that's kind of the only possibility at this moment because I don't think she slept with Euron, right? She hasn't slept with Euron.
I mean,
That
not that
was
we're aware
the
of. No.
deal is that they're going to get together after she wins the war.
Right. What if it's Kybans?
So Kyburns. Oh God.
Yes.
Ugh.
Yes, Queen.
Some creepy little baby coming out of Cersei. Yeah.
His thoughts
I
or
hope
the
not.
mountains. I mean, he does whatever she says as well.
Oh God, no, you don't want
Zombie baby.
Yeah, totally. What else do we got with so Daenerys and John? So basically, this all culminates in the large summit meeting that all the characters have in King's Landing.
Yes.
Which is kind of interesting because we get to actually see everybody in one spot. Finally.
Right. Well, I mean, I thought it was really crazy. So before we got there, I thought that was a good, like I said, one of the greater scenes. But this season just had to me like that boy band feel, right? Like every 2-3 episodes, it was like a big group of somebody. Like at one point, what did you have? You had Davos, Gendry. They had picked up Gendry. So you had Davos, Gendry, Tormund, Barrick,
the Hound,
Thoros, the Hound, and John.
Yeah, the Magnificent Seven. Those are the ones that went across the wall. Yeah,
it was like, whoa, okay,
yeah.
I
enjoyed those conversations.
Only Thoros don't make it back. Everybody else makes it.
Well, no, one of the other ones, which was a red shirt that died. they're just some random guy that was a
Yeah,
part of
he
the
don't count.
Wildling army. Yeah, exactly. But I did enjoy the sort of dynamics that they all had when they were north of the wall.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed Tormund talking to the Hound about Brienne.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
It's pretty awesome. Tormund's still holding a candle for Brienne.
Right? And she looked like she wanted to chop off your head and stomp on your liver. You have met her.
You have met her. Yeah.
Yeah. You can't
That's
get mad
his.
at him. He knows what he likes, man.
He loves some Brienne, that's for sure. I also thought it was nice the whole like John and Jorah Mormont scene where John tries to give the sword back, and like,
Yeah, that was
it's
very
nice.
John.
Yeah, very John. It was nice to see that respect too, because Jorah is a part of Team Daenerys, so it's like,
Right.
he doesn't have to be nice to John, but it's nice to see that mutual respect there for sure.
Right. And then so that's boy band moment number one. Boy band
Yes.
moment number two was the Starks, when you have Arya, Brandon, and Sansa all in the room together with all the knights and junk, the Lords of the Vale, and it got Baelish on trial.
Oh yeah.
I thought that whole boy band moment was really cool because again, we weren't quite sure if Sansa and Arya were talking or on the same page. Nobody knew where Brandon was. Come to find out, they're conspiring against this guy.
Yeah.
And then, of course, as you were getting to the big meeting in the Dragon Pit, the what we call that, a truce meeting?
Yeah, like a parlay. Yeah.
Parlay.
Yeah.
I watch too much TV, guys. You gotta excuse me.
Daenerys has to make her boss entrance.
Hey, diva, like
total diva, man, total diva. Everybody's waiting for her, and she jumps in on a dragon, like.
Well, in her defense,
badass.
She only wanted to do that because she knew Cersei was going to do it. So it was like she was sitting up there chilling, flying around, watching Cersei and them flying. I mean, march in all super slow.
Yeah, waiting like, for Cersei to sit down first. Yeah,
right. And it's like, oh, she's seated. All right, let me pull up in my Bentley.
Yeah, let me show out for these people.
And at first, I was like thinking, like, so you just gonna bring your dragon and you're gonna destroy my walls like that?
Yeah, just crumble the place. That's okay.
That's acceptable. And then it was like, oh, that's the Dragon Pit. That's where they belong. Oh, okay.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't know how the bricks stood this long if dragons could do that to them. So,
well, remember they said that the dragons had gotten smaller. And
that's right. They were tiny. Yeah. So we get this sort of like summit meeting, and I think Euron's played a pretty funny role in that because he kind of interrupted and started goading Theon a little bit, which I thought was pretty funny actually, because he's just such a jerk and like he loves to push people's buttons. And I thought it was also pretty funny that he decided, he was like, so do these White Walkers, can they swim? No? Okay, well, peace out. We're leaving. Yeah. I'm going to my island surrounded by ocean.
And if you're smart, you do the same.
Yeah. I was like, at that point, I was like, you know what? Respect, man. This isn't even your battle. You can just go home.
You could, yeah. Now, of course, until we find out what's really going on with that, that he doesn't leave.
Right.
And,
right.
Well, he does leave, but so even though Cersei and they have this whole big old thing. Wait, really quick before I get to how that ends, actually.
Yeah.
I thought it was really telling when Cersei agreed so fast. Cersei doesn't scare easily.
Oh no, she was terrified though.
And she was right. I'm about to say she was terrified by the White Walker, but she still wasn't sold, and you saw she wasn't sold. But then it's like, oh, we could all get along and sing a happy song on my farm. No, we can't.
As long as the king in the north stays out of the war, which I thought was really interesting.
And
she does not want Jon a part of the war.
She knows what's up.
Yeah,
she knows
exactly.
She knows what's up. That's the best tactician so far. He's the best hand-to-hand combatant so far. That means he is destined to be the overthrower.
Oh yeah. She's scared of him. She does not like. I mean, like she insults him a lot, but I think she also knows like that's probably not somebody you want to mess with.
Well, remember that she heard the prophecies when she was young.
Right.
And I think that she's one of those people that she didn't believe all the prophecies and stuff when she was younger. But now that she's seen so much of it come into fruition, it's like, oh, wait, I know what part this is.
Yeah.
This part spells the end for her.
Yeah. Oh, and then John had to be a dumb simp and basically be like, "Oh, sorry, I pledged my allegiance to Daenerys Targaryen." And even Daenerys comes up to him and she's like, "Look, I'm flattered by your allegiance, but you did not need to do this right now."
I didn't understand why. It's like, bro, nobody. That was like when you go to a restaurant, you pay for your food, and then you walk out.
Yeah.
He did everything sacrificed everything, did everything to get to that point. Paid
It's like going to a restaurant and then realizing they didn't charge you for a soda, so bringing the server back and asking for them to add the soda to your bill.
Basically, it's like you really are giving them free money.
Yeah,
you're
pretty
just
much.
You're giving up all of your advantage, and everything that you've worked for at the end of it. Just advantage from that. I am glad. Well, I was glad that it seemed as if Tyrion was able to get Cersei on the level. However, I didn't expect that to go too far, as it didn't, because she admits she was lying, and Euron was really going to get they backup warriors, and it's on. It's on.
Yeah, she's ready. She's ready to wage a war, I guess. So now you got multiple wars going on. You got the dead army coming, and Daenerys and Cersei, and John's in the middle of all of it, and he's just like, trying to get people to fight the White Walkers, but they all just want to fight each other.
Right. And that goes back to the White Walker and the Night King, excuse me. I thought it was nuts that they had that entire army pulling chains, just dragging the dragon out of the water. I was like, whoa.
How, Sway? How?
Yeah, who got down there?
Well, who went down? I guess the ones that were already down there, maybe.
I was gonna say, they say they can't swim, but that doesn't mean they can't sink, and that doesn't mean that they drown.
Yeah, maybe it's possible. And there was a whole bunch of them fell into the lake before that whole thing. So it's possible they just dropped the chains in, and then the ones down there just tied it up. Yeah.
And the Night King is clearly intelligent.
Oh yeah, and he's got an agenda apparently. He's definitely got a goal. I hope we know what that is at the end. But
right, I'm a little upset that he was able to wake that dragon up and turn it into a night dragon.
Oh yeah, ice dragon. Well, not ice dragon. I guess ice dragon. Kind of.
Yeah, I'm sure that's ice
fire.
Ice fire. Yeah.
yeah. And then maybe that's why it works against the wall too, right? And I think all dragon fire works against the wall.
Yeah, I'm like, because it comes out as a destructive force. It's still like a projectile. It's damn near solid.
Yeah, but I think there's something also about the magic of dragons, right? Because the wall is enchanted. So
I didn't know that.
So there's something about so the wall is enchanted. That's why the Night King can't cross it. So there's something about dragon fire that breaks the enchantment or something, I guess. They don't really get into that, but that's why everybody's like, oh, don't worry, we have the wall. The White Walkers can't hurt us. It's because the wall is enchanted. If they cross the wall, then they blow up, like in the Blood Ravens or the Three-Eyed Ravens.
I do remember that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But I guess now that it's broken, they can pass. I don't know.
So the first man didn't really make the wall. The children made the wall.
The children and the first men made the wall together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Joint venture.
Yeah. After the children created the White Walkers to kill all the humans. And go figure, right?
Polio blankets, you say, huh?
Yeah, right. Goodness gracious, man. Yeah. It's really all the children of the forest fault. I mean, really, they're the ones that. Hey, it is their fault, man. It's their fault. Kids. I blame them for sure. So we have poor Tormund was on the wall when that happened.
I think he's alive though, and that was actually going to be that's definitely a question I had. Do you think Tormund is alive at the end of season 7? And I believe Tormund is alive.
I think he's too big of a character, and even at the knowing what I do know, and when I first saw this, I was like, I don't think he's dead. I think that's kind of like a little cliffhanger-y sort of thing, because you didn't see him die. He got very close to it.
Right. I think we see Jaime die first before we saw Tormund die.
Oh, you think that Jamie's going to die? But we're going to see Jamie dying before Tormund dying.
Yes.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Gotcha. Well, we can talk about that next week.
Yes, we can. I don't.
You'll finally know all of the things.
I'll be sitting here mad and screaming at my TV like everybody else.
Yeah, totally. So do you have any predictions and stuff? Do you know like where do you want this next 7 episodes to go? You know, like
Oh man.
what do you want to
Well,
see the most of?
oh, the most.
Yeah.
Wow. Honestly, I've seen everything I want to see the most. At this point, at least through the storyline. So at this point, for season 7, the most anticipated things for me is how is Arya going to complete her list? One.
Yeah.
That's like really number one on my list.
Who's still on her list?
Cersei.
Just Cersei. Yeah.
I
Okay.
believe it's just
There you
Cersei.
go. Gotcha. Yeah.
But that is important. I want to really know how Daenerys and John is going to play out. How and when do they find out they're related? Do they find out they're related? Do they continue their charade when they find out that they are auntie and nephew?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Those type of things I am interested in. Does it break their alliance when they find out they're related? Does it make him swearing fealty to her an automatic thing because of their allegiance? Does it become now acceptable? Is he still going to be a Stark? Is he going to be a Targaryen?
And does he have a better claim to the throne?
He would have the only real claim in reality to the throne at this point. And with all of that, what does it really matter? Like in total, what does any of it matter?
Well, it certainly doesn't matter at all to John. John would never want to be king anyways.
Well, but would anybody even believe Brandon? Would anybody care what Brandon has to say for it to become something? And just because just because Sam saw the scrolls in the Citadel, who else has access to that?
Well, I mean, they did just murder Littlefinger with Bran's word, so maybe John can be legitimized as a Targaryen with Bran's word too. I mean, they literally just killed Littlefinger just because Bran was like, "Yeah, I seen it.
I seen it with my own 2 eyes."
Yeah.
He was due.
Everybody's like, "Oh, good enough for me." Yeah, let's get rid of him.
We've been waiting to kill him.
And can we talk about that? Was not
looking for a reason.
Yeah, well, that was not a state sanctioned execution, by the way. Ned would have not been happy about that. First of all, you spilled blood in your own hall, and you didn't behead the man like you're supposed to.
When I saw them bleeding him out, I literally said to myself, I said, "So we just bleeding people out on the stone floors back then, huh?"
In your own hall, yeah, that's a big no-no. You're not supposed to do that to a guest of your own,
unless you're
hall.
Frey.
Yeah, unless you're a Frey. Yeah. Maybe it's Walder Frey that's now Arya Stark.
Maybe.
Young youthful body to kill everybody. Yeah.
The Freys will rule again.
That guy's he's just such a great sleazebag actor. Like, he's just so gross.
He definitely a gross character.
Yeah.
So that I agree with, though. That was definitely, or I know for sure that's going to come back on them, but I'm not sure if we have enough time left in the series.
Right. Yeah. There's definitely a lot of loose threads that need to be tied up in the next 7 episodes, which is, kind of a big feat, especially for how big this story is,
Right.
Like even now that we've kind of reduced the cast, we still have like 15 cast members, that are either major or quasi major characters.
Yeah. I'm looking at my list right here in front of me. It's at about 17 actually. So yeah.
Oh yeah. Exactly. So it's like, man, there's still so many people that need to be kind of like their storylines need to be kind of wrapped up.
Right. But some of them are really small.
Yeah, definitely. I think those can be wrapped up pretty easily. But I think we'd be remiss to not congratulate our buddy Torgo Nordo for finally sealing the deal with his Missandei.
Listen, man, I was feeling it for Torgo. My guy Grey Worm, man. All I know is at first I was confused. I was like, what's about to happen? Are they about to just be sensual and hug and kiss, and that's gonna be cool,
Maybe.
like,
Yeah.
And then it
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
wait, and when at first I was like, was there some type of a penetration there?
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
But
I
then,
think they kept it kind of vague. But yeah,
right,
then,
and then
of
he
course.
went on to do what he did, and it was like,
Yeah, yeah.
he.
Yeah.
I hope he returns. Oh, do you?
Right.
Why do you hope he returns? Some things happen. Some things. And
Some
okay,
things.
I love that moment between Missandei and Daenerys because
Right.
it is the only, and I promise to me at least that I saw, and I'm a guy, so I'm sure I missed a few of them, but it was the only like girl, we need to talk, or like,
Oh, yeah,
ladies
yeah.
moment in the
Yeah,
entire
totally. Like
show.
your girlfriends talking.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
you go. It was like where you
Mhm.
saw like ladies had that, we bond as women type of a moment.
Yeah, totally.
And
Yeah, yeah. I
I thought that
definitely
was
enjoyed
awesome.
it. Yeah. And it's nice. I felt good for Grey Worm because, like I think he's a good character. I think he's
Mhm.
like an interesting, solid character. But, like it's interesting for him to be like, like I don't like the fact that I have fear now and it's because of you.
Right.
And that's what love is, right? It's
Yep.
being afraid that that person could be lost or, could hurt you or you could hurt them. So it's like,
Mhm.
yeah, it would be an interesting thing to be like bred to not be afraid of anything and then all of a sudden have all this fear about your future.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and you have to, if we're being honest, you have to have the fear if you're gonna fall for someone, because
Yeah.
who else is gonna, who else is gonna do it for the person you love if you don't?
Right.
So
Right.
you have to be a little fearful that you may lose them, and that's what causes you to protect them. That's just my opinion.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
but so let's think. So other things I'm looking forward to, and again, this is really just people to wrap up their small parts. Davos and Gendry, where'd they go? What happened with that? I'm sure they're going to end up together somewhere, somehow. Knowing that John is a Targaryen means that Gendry is no longer the rightful king, but John is.
Yeah.
Or Aegon
Well,
is.
I mean, but technically and even I think John made this point like when he met Daenerys, he's like like the succession at this point doesn't even matter,
Right. Yeah,
like
he did.
Robert Baratheon overthrew your father and now his claim is technically the rightful claim. So it's like
Right.
how many generations do you have to go back to get to your claim or like
Who? Yeah.
So I think that's an interesting commentary about just how arbitrary all of this is. Like, okay, how do you say that you have a better claim than this person?
Right.
It's just arbitrary. It makes no difference.
It's like, who won the last war? Okay, well, that's who it is.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
I'm also interested in the Hound and Beric. Where'd they go? What's that going to turn into?
Oh, they were left on the Hound went down south, right? He went
Yeah, he
down
said he was
to
headed south, but
he went to King's Landing for the summit. He was there.
Oh, you're right. He was at the
Yeah,
summit. I forget.
yeah,
Yeah, you're
yeah.
right.
Because he was the one that handled the white.
Right.
Yeah,
And
so
then he confronted his
I
brother.
don't know what yes. That was pretty dope.
Right. But hey, he said what I've been saying from day one. You know who's coming for you. You've always known.
You've always known. Yeah. The Hound
Nobody
don't
else
play,
gets to
man.
kill you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, as fate would have it, no one else gets to kill the Mountain. It has to be the Hound.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's why it made sense that Oberyn died, because you can't take that man's kill.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
And so really quick, so back to Arya and Sansa. Do you think she was telling Arya? I think that was one of the discussions you're talking about, right? That, to me, that was one of those fake discussions. Her telling her, no, yeah, okay, I'm sorry. We did discuss that already. I'm just thinking about another side of that discussion where she tells her that she's a faceless man now.
Yeah, right.
That is the same discussion in the room. You're right.
Yeah, yeah. And I just thought that was weird because like you don't know if Littlefinger's listening, but then you have to kind of assume that they think he's listening because that whole conversation is just an act, apparently.
Right.
Or
and that was kind of a
partially
long
an act.
discussion.
Yeah, it was a long discussion, and as I said, Arya was threatening to take Sansa's face, so it's like
all I would need is your face.
Yeah, well, so it's like, what are you guys doing? Are you doing this all for Littlefinger? How do you even? What if he's like on the chamber pot right now? Like, he's like over in the chamber pot, and you guys are like pretending to hate each other for no reason.
He don't know what y'all talking about right now.
Right, exactly.
That
And
is
it's
hilarious.
not like he has spies inside Winterfell. Like he
Yeah,
just
no longer.
doesn't. Yeah,
And
no.
I think that's the thing is he's trying to recruit.
Yeah.
Excuse me. He's trying to
Mhm.
recruit, and it's simply not working out for him.
Oh yeah, it's definitely
Because
not working.
the loyalties in the North are just different from the things he's used to dealing with.
Oh yeah, yeah. And yeah, he got way too cocky with Sansa, really, like trying to manipulate her into thinking Arya was going after her.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it was like it wasn't even him doing that. It was it's weird because it's like Littlefinger had would Littlefinger have schemed so hard if he wasn't given the impression that Arya was trying to kill Sansa?
Right. And the impression from Sansa that she was afraid.
Yeah. And I mean, like, that's kind of a fair question because, like, maybe Littlefinger would have backed off if, like, they were getting along fine. But, like, he would seem to be only really trying to manipulate Sansa when he found out that she was afraid of Arya.
Right.
So,
Well, and he always and he was not to be trusted to begin with, right?
well, certainly.
So at the end of the day, he was gonna have to go. I am curious to know, did it have to be them?
Yeah. I'm a little bit curious about that, too, because it
Mhm.
seems like there could have been different opportunities for that. I mean, like, I don't know why Arya has to be the I get to kill everybody person, but
I'm not mad about that.
I mean, I'm not necessarily mad about that yet.
That was Sansa's kill.
It was Sansa's kill for sure, and like Arya is just like this little executioner now. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of weird sort of like so Bran is trying to be this like cold three-eyed raven person. Arya is trying to be this awesome assassin. Sansa's trying to be the ruler, and it just feels all very strange. And it feels
So
like they're kind of like faking
Robert,
it.
yeah, Robert Stark. Excuse me, Ned Stark raised a bunch of psychopaths.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much, kind
Theon,
of.
John,
Yeah,
Rob.
yeah, yeah. Not a great track record, that's for
Not a
sure.
great track record at all.
Yeah, yeah.
Respectable track record as far as people
Yeah,
that people look
sure.
up to, but
Yeah, yeah.
well,
They all
nobody
seem to
lives up
have
to Theon.
they all seem to have some issues, that's for sure.
Right. Now, I am interested also in Theon to see where does his newfound sense of pride take him.
Yeah,
Which
his
I thought that was really
confidence.
cool of John to instill that confidence back into him. Like, you're
Mhm.
stuck and a Greyjoy.
Yeah.
Nah, son, but I hear you.
I mean, it's fine enough, right? Like Sansa's kind of forgiven him. John kind of forgave him,
Right.
That's
Do you
good.
think Tyrion believes his sister is on a side now?
I think
I see what just happened there.
well, no, but I think Tyrion, as I said before, is making terrible decisions
Yeah,
one
you said.
after another, after another, after another. And it becomes a little bit frustrating because that trend doesn't exactly change in the next season. So
Oh,
yeah, I know. And I mean, like different ways. There's a lot going on in the next season, so like there's a whole bunch more to talk about for sure. But like it's just weird to me because he for like up until season 5, he was a very clever, person, and then it just seems like all of a sudden he just doesn't know how to do anything right. So, and I think that's
sobriety does
kind
that
of
to you, man. I've been no, I'm
well,
joking.
yeah, well, I mean, perhaps, but also I think it really is that the writers realized that Daenerys was so overpowered that they needed to nerf her. And in order to
Oh,
nerf her, they made Tyrion an idiot and somebody
wow.
who bungles everything because, as it stood at the beginning of season 7, Daenerys could have destroyed the entire
It
world.
was a wrap. She had
It
everything
was
she
over.
needed.
Everything,
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah.
And I think that became an issue because it's like, okay, so how do we continue this story? Because Daenerys is here and she can basically take over now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they needed to nerf Daenerys a little bit, which they did by making Tyrion totally inept and incapable of doing anything right.
By destroying the wittiest character of them all. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they did, because he wasn't that funny or witty this season.
No, he really wasn't. He was just a very non-interesting character. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then his little look after Daenerys and John are in the bedroom on the ship.
That's when I realized maybe he's jealous.
Oh, it definitely looked like jealousy, didn't it? I mean, like he looked like he was a lover scorned, and I'm like, dude, does every guy have to fall in love with Daenerys?
Apparently,
like every guy's just got to be in love with her. Yeah. Yeah, you got like 55-year-old Jorah that's in love with her. Then you got Dario. Then you have Tyrion. I mean, I'm sure Euron would be in love with her too if Cersei wasn't right in front of him.
Euron went to her first, remember?
Oh yeah, he did. He wanted to go to her first. That's right.
So sorry, I left. Look, I'm sitting over here and I'm like, is it the dust from outside, or is it the storyline that's just
making you allergic? Yeah, you're allergic to BS.
Right. I'm just sitting here like, man, this storyline got really bad on me, and my sinuses and my allergies.
Yeah, I'm getting congested.
Right. No, but I don't know. I think thinking about the fact that there was originally, they could have gotten 10 seasons out of this. Season 8 would have been the perfect time for a filler season. This would have been the perfect time to give us the Davos Gendry, the Brienne Podrick, like like just round all of that out.
The longer conversations of people,
you know what I mean?
Let
Bronn get some storyline in. What's going on with Varys? What's going to happen with Varys? Whereas now that Baelish is out of the picture, you only have a Varys left, and Varys never had the type of intents that Baelish did. However, it is very clear that Daenerys don't too much care for him no more than anybody else.
Yeah. Daenerys.
Give us time to figure out Bran.
Oh my God!
Does Brienne and Tormund ever even see each other again?
That is the real question.
I need that to happen. I need that to happen in a real way. I need him to be Tormund of Tarth, or her to be Brienne the Wildling, something.
Definitely, they belong together for sure.
They definitely belong together, and I think that's why I'm like there is a lot of potential coming off of this season, but there is a lot of reasons to set it back because.
And where's Ghost?
Ghost is the last direwolf. Well,
Nymeria is there too,
alive.
She's in the wild. Yeah.
And I'm not mad at her for not going with Arya, but I think she's still around. Yeah,
she's definitely she's got her own thing going on. But where the heck was Ghost? He's just in the kennels. He was in the kennels this whole time.
Just chilling, because he's not with Sam. He's not with he's not at the
anybody.
wall. He didn't stay at the wall. He's not with John.
Yep. Well, and then you realize
not around for him to be with him.
Well, then you realize that they only had a budget for either direwolves or dragons. And they decided,
I guess you
got to have the dragons. Yeah, for sure.
We had enough of the direwolves. They made fair. For once, they made the right decision. Look at that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, what do you have anything else? I think we've covered quite a bit. We did it in a very unconventional way this time, but it was an
unconventional season. It was. It was a bit confusing in hindsight when I had to look back over my notes, and that's why even when we started, what did I say? Where do I want to start? Because I had already realized I could start anywhere. It's all going to the same place.
Yeah. Well, and especially when you kind of you break it down by beat, like each scene is so drastically different too. It's like one scene is like with Daenerys, and then you're across the world, and then you're back with somebody, and it's a day later or a week later or a month later or who knows how long. It's
and King's Landing got their first snow.
Yes, that's right. Finally.
So that's a thing.
Winter has finally come to King's Landing.
Winter is here.
that can't be a bad omen or anything, right?
The ice freezing cold. Yeah, it's definitely a bad omen. Even today, that's not a good omen. But let me think. So I like Olenna's death. Mm-hmm. That was a really good part to me. Yeah, just the whole way that played out. Baelish needed to die, so I was glad that finally happened. I am also interested in Cersei's pregnancy. I didn't think we were going to know that the dragon became a White Walker so fast. I didn't think that would happen until, like, you know, that would happen episode 1. They come back to that, but they didn't. They showed us the last scene of that episode, and I was like, weak.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how you know they were speeding things up. That was way too fast for you to tell me that.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed.
And yeah, that was pretty much it, though. Was there any more deaths that were interesting? Again, the Night King having an arm like a cannon, that was crazy.
Yeah, totally.
Agreed. That ice javelin hit the dragon and it imploded. Boo!
Yeah, just shot a hole right through him.
Like,
man,
jeez.
I know. Yeah, he's got an arm on him, that's for sure.
Right. Also, I don't think Gendry was just back to be a message boy.
Right. Yeah.
You know, that's a lot of work to go back and get Gendry just for him to be the message kid. Like, come on, man.
Right. Just to have him come on an adventure just to be the runner. That could have been somebody else. Yeah.
Right. For sure. Totally. To handle that. Other than that, Night King needed the dragon to destroy the wall. I believe that's a part of the prophecy. I believe something that was said to me by someone else who is just now watching this, my wife. She believes that John and Daenerys have to have sex and they have to come together because she was told she can't bear children. However, if they both, which they both are, of Targaryen blood, which is dragonborn blood, they can create a baby inside of her because of that. And that might explain why there was so much incest in the Targaryens, because the only way they can mate, I mean, the only way they can breed is with one another.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. All right. Well, you're gonna have to find out. There's 7 more episodes, and your wife will have her answers answered in the next season.
For sure. And the reason to me that only made sense, I want to say this too before we get off. That made sense to me because dragons are asexual.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna have to see. I mean, I can't wait to have the next week's discussion with you. It's going 7 more episodes left.
Right.
I can't wait to see what you got to say about all of this, and we'll definitely get deep into all of our analyses and what we think about the whole thing next week. And so yeah, man, do you got anything else before we wrap up?
That's pretty much it. I hope Theon doesn't come back on my screen, but he will.
No more Theon.
Theon, Bran. Listen, I'm gonna make my list of who can go. Theon can go.
Okay.
Bran can go.
All right.
Can't do without Bran. Got to keep Bran.
Okay.
The Mountain and the Hound can go because we know how that's about to end.
Okay.
Tormund and Brienne have to stay because they need to be together. Jaime can go because he's gotten too soft.
Gotcha.
That's pretty much it. Everybody else, I'd like to see where they go. I'd like to know what's going on with Beric. I want to know what's going on with Davos, Jon, Daenerys, Cersei even. I actually want Cersei to live. Not long term, but, you know, just through the Great War.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, all of that and more will be answered next week. So we hope that you guys will continue to watch with us next Wednesday at 8 p.m. when we talk about the series finale for Game of Thrones Season 8. That'll be a lot of fun. But thank you so much, you guys, for listening. We hope that you have a wonderful Wednesday evening, or whenever you're listening to this. I hope that it's a wonderful day for you. We very much appreciate you guys listening. Please consider giving us a follow on YouTube. YouTube.com/Screen Continuum really helps us out. We're trying to grow our channel. We're trying to produce more content for you guys. If you have any input about what you'd like us to review, please leave us comments. Send us some feedback. We're more than happy to accept that. If you want to check out what Keilyn does with his podcast, If Numbers Can Talk, that is on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. I also have a podcast called Exofathom on Monday and Friday at 8 p.m. If you want to check those out, please do. other than that, we just very much appreciate you taking the journey through the Screen Time Continuum with us this evening. For Screen Time Continuum, I am Nick. And he is muted.
And I am Keilyn. He
there
is
we
Nick.
go.
And
Nice.
I am Keilyn. Gosh.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much. Good night.